In our last lesson, we concluded the discussion by talking about how evil practices were not just prevalent in the Hindu religion only, because evil practices were prevalent in all the religions, in the Indian society as a whole. Now let us talk about Sir Syed Ahmed Khan. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan was a reformer who wanted to bring about changes in the Muslim society so that the Muslim society could get rid of different social evil practices. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan started the famous Aligarh movement to attack various evils in the Muslim society, and those evils would include polygamy. We have already discussed in our last lesson what this concept of polygamy means. Polygamy means the marriage of one person to many persons. And here in this practice of polygamy, it were mostly the men who used to marry several women. And this illustration here shows you the same. It is this one man who has married several women. And this one husband often used to exploit and torture the wives. And it is for this reason polygamy was an evil practice. Triple talaq, which is a divorce practice in the Muslim society, was also very regressive and seen as evil. And then there was the parda system. By the parda system, women had to conceal them from the public world, from the public gaze. So they had to restrict themselves within the domestic space, and even when they went out in the public space, they had to hide themselves completely so as to ensure that they were not seen in the public sphere, so as to ensure that no one, no men to be specific, saw them. So these were certain regressive practices that were entrenched in the Muslim society, and through the Aligarh movement, Sir Syed Ahmed Khan actually wanted to rid the Muslim society of all these social evils. Sir Syed Ahmed Khan also promoted women's education. So can you understand how women's education was seen as a crucial point by all the social reformers? This is because women, who constitute 1/2 of the population, were not educated till this point of time. Women had no awareness of who they were. All they knew was the domestic responsibility that they were supposed to shoulder. And so all the social reformers now saw that women's education was a pivotal point in helping the society as a whole progress, in helping women better their own lives and come out of their miserable conditions. Now for a long time, religion has often been used by the regressive and the conservative sections of the society to forward many orthodox ideas. The Hindu conservatives said that it was actually a religious practice to kill the woman on the deceased husband's funeral pyre. So sati was given a religious sanction this way. Likewise, child marriage was also given a religious sanction. And these people, be that the Hindus or Muslims, posited that it is actually religion that stops women from attaining education. So any woman who has faith in her own religion should not attain education. This idea was forwarded because men were afraid of women attaining education and demanding their own rights. Men were afraid that by attaining education, women can overturn and topple the patriarchal authority. That is to say, women can question men's authority and dominance on them. And so, men wanted to stop and prevent women from attaining education. And in this context, they used religion as a tool to put forward their orthodox ideas. Now, Mumtaz Ali interpreted verses from the Quran which is the holy book for the Muslims, to argue for women's education. So, he interpreted verses from the Quran to say that women should attain education. Women should not be cloistered in the domestic spaces where they are given no awareness of the world around them, where they are never allowed to know anything beyond taking care of the family. So Sir Syed Ahmed Khan or even Mumtaz Ali were male reformers who were wanting to bring about changes in the Muslim society. But where were the women? From the early 20th century, the Begums of Bhopal also played a notable role in promoting education among women. So these Begums of Bhopal were now coming forward. They were putting their opinions to the fore. They were also promoting women's education. They knew that it is by attaining education that women will be able to liberate themselves. And to this end, a school was also established for women students by the Begums of Bhopal in Aligarh. While we talk about the contribution of Muslim women in bringing about reforms in the Muslim society, mention must most definitely be made of Begum Ruqayya Sakhawat. Begum Ruqayya Sakhawat was a fearless woman. She could not be thwarted or stopped by any opposition from men. She knew how to vocalize her opinion. She knew how to put forward her ideas. She started schools for Muslim girls in Patna and Calcutta. The first school was set up in Calcutta in 1909. She also stood up for the equality of men and women. Now, the equality of men and women lies at the foundation of this entire narrative, because it is only when men and women are treated equally in the society that equal opportunities, equal rights, equal liberties will be available to both. If men and women are treated equally, then women will also gain access to education like the men already enjoyed. And by gaining access to education, women will be able to educate themselves, will be able to liberate themselves. And so, this very fearless and bold woman reformer, Begum Ruqayya, now started parodying for equality of men and women. Before proceeding with this lesson, let me ask you a question. When did Begum Ruqayya found the first school for Muslim girls in Calcutta? Was it founded in 1900, 1907, 1906 or in 1909? Well, the correct answer is 1909. In 1909, Begum Ruqayya set up the first school for Muslim girls in Calcutta. And through setting up schools, through voicing her opinions, she wanted to bring about changes in the society. She wanted to bring about gender equality in the society. But a very crucial current that tried to stop the progress that these social reformers were making came from the conservative section of the society. The conservative section of the society was vehemently opposed to the idea of bringing about changes and reforms in the society. They did not want the existent social order to be turned upright. They did not want changes to happen in the society. This is because through spreading the orthodox ideas, these conservative sections of the society were able to retain their power. They were able to retain their dominance. And now, if their authority was questioned, if social reforms now changed the social order, then they would no longer continue to enjoy their prominence in the society. And these conservative people were actually fearing change. And so they completely opposed any work, any progress that was being made by the social reformers. But once the spirit of freedom, once the spirit of independence, once the thirst for knowledge is introduced to a person, then that person can no longer be taken away from all these things. And likewise, when women started attaining education, there was no longer any force that could hold them back. Though in few numbers initially, women were now starting to attend schools. They were attaining education. Nevertheless, women were gradually coming out of their confines of the household, confines of the domestic role. And then by the 20th century, they also took active part in the politics of the country. They even became a part of the freedom struggle. Nationalist leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru or Subhash Chandra Bose also wanted women's participation in the freedom struggle. Women constituted 1/2 of the population, and if this 1/2 was excluded from the freedom struggle, then invariably this freedom struggle would be weakened. And so the nationalist leaders were wanting women to participate in the freedom struggle in large numbers. They knew that it was through women and men's joint participation that they would be able to overthrow colonial rule from the Indian subcontinent. So with this, we come to an end of a discussion on reforms for women in colonial India. All this while we have talked about the depressed and miserable and deplorable conditions of women in the Indian society. Because various kinds of evil practices like sati, child marriage, polygamy actually impeded women from attaining healthy and good lives. And so women were restricted to the corners of the household. They had to take care of the family only. But by the 19th and 20th century, women were coming out of their domestic spaces. They were attaining education. They were becoming part of the country's politics of the freedom struggle. Having learnt about how social reform movements played a very crucial role in bringing about changes in the condition of women's lives, in our subsequent lesson we will be taking up a new line of discussion. That is to say, we will learn about how caste discrimination was prevalent in the Indian society and how various social reformers were fighting their level best to rid the Indian society of this evil practice of caste system. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon. You can also register for free at DeltaStep.com or download the DeltaStep app to learn one-to-one with our amazing teachers or to get access to all our 5,000 plus amazing videos as per your school syllabus. Master each topic with our adaptive practice technology. Get million plus questions with step-by-step solutions and unlimited mock tests. Get all your doubts resolved instantly. Learn via games and win amazing prizes like PlayStations and iPads. So at DeltaStep, learning is not just fun and easy, it's rewarding too. So register for free now.